When you take an environment for learning, filled with classrooms, playing fields, students, and teachers, you have a school. When you take that environment and add caring, empathetic people, when you add passion and zeal, when you add a community where you can discover new subjects of interest and see the world from an enlightened perspective, you get a place that's more than a school. This is Deerfield Academy.
So my name is Robert Mungai from Kenya, and I came to Deerfield as a postgraduate student, and my experience has been awesome so far. I remember when I was at my lowest point in the fall term and I fell sick. So it's lunchtime at Deerfield Academy, and Mr. Kelly, who is at my table, is telling one of his usual really interesting stories. And suddenly I get this really deep pain in my chest, and the lights go out for a moment in my head, and I'm down on the floor, and immediately I feel like the ground is spinning, and Mr. Kelly is right there with me. I don't even know how he got there so fast, and he's reassuring me that everything's gonna be okay. I have to say it was pretty scary, and I wanted to open my mouth and tell Mr. Kelly that I'm done. But he held on, and I felt safe that he was there. And with all the commotion that was going on, and with me going in and out of consciousness, and it was pretty terrifying. But you know, him being there, being supportive, I don't know how many other people were there. And leading up to the events that I went to the hospital and they took care of me. And I remember Mr. Toich almost spent the whole night at the hospital with me, you know, sharing his usual biology anecdotes with me. It was really hard. It was very tough for me, but an incredible thing happened, and there was so much support for me. Everybody was wishing me quick recovery. I remember Charlie Carpenter, Captain Deerfield, rallied for people to just sign the well wishes for me on their posters, and I found them in my room at the clinic, and it was awesome. It was just this great feeling of so much love around me, and it helped me get through that. It was by all means the scariest moments of my life, but one thing that was for sure is that Deerfield was there with me, and we made it.
So the summer before I actually got into Deerfield, this was when I was still in New York, I decided to move down to Virginia for a little while, just to remember where I came from. I had actually grown up in Virginia, born and raised in Grottoes, about 2 hours from DC. Back there, up by the Appalachian Mountains, it was pretty quiet most of the time, and I never really got into American music. So I got into Deerfield, and that's when I met Quentin and Devin in New Dorm. Quentin was a drummer from Singapore, Devin was a guitarist from Connecticut. We got to be really good friends, and I was telling them about my aspiration to play bass. The thing was I couldn't get my hands on one. That's where Mr. Nielsen came in, actually. He was my hall resident on New Dorm at the time. I asked him, he had some musical experience, so I asked him where I might be able to find a bass on campus, and lo and behold, he pulls out this awesome 5-string black solid bass, and that's the first bass I ever played. That's the one that I taught myself how to play bass on. So yeah, that summer I was practicing with the bass, I was practicing with the guitar a lot, and I was really getting into it again. That sort of, kept me going over the summer. Away from my friends, I had little contact with people. And music really was that thing, that was my anchor, because I didn't have anything holding me down at the time. I was up in the sky at Deerfield, and I had no idea what was going to be going on for the next 4 years of my life. I mean, it's boarding school. I'd never even heard of a boarding school being a high school, and now here I was. So music really became a way for me to get in touch with myself, you know, like growing up in Virginia wasn't really an ideal place to let your emotions show, but with music, I mean, I didn't really have a choice. And I'm always thankful for that opportunity. I'm thankful to Quentin and Devin and Mr. Nielsen and everyone who helped me get started, Deerfield especially. I mean, geez, ninth grade playing in concerts, that's a side of me I never thought I'd ever be able to see.
When I first came to Deerfield, I honestly hated it. I hated everything about it. I refused to buy anything that had Deerfield on it. I just really had a negative attitude, and I think that sort of carried me through sophomore and junior year, just being pretty pessimistic about everything. And I think the biggest issue, it wasn't necessarily Deerfield itself, it just, I wasn't able to sort of figure out how to be myself in Deerfield and how to allow myself to sort of let go and not worry about the opinions of other people. But what really changed that for me was when I came back senior year, I was chair of the student council and I felt like I belonged a little bit more, but the main moment where I realized that I really loved Deerfield and that it was the place for me was when I was trying out for cheerleading. And I mean, I was freaking out. I was running around, I slipped and I fell, my paint was everywhere. I was running off of adrenaline, but when I got out on that stage and I was screaming and Deerfield, we're on fleek and we're crazy and we're awesome, and I was just yelling and I was so excited, and all the kids who were out there who were screaming, I could just feel how excited they were, and it was honestly one of the best feelings I've ever had, is just people being there and being so open and just being so awesome about it. And I think that's the reaction that I've been wanting to get and that I've sort of been looking for the past couple years, is just having everyone sort of look at me and realize that I'm sort of really being myself and that I have that confidence and that it's not just a facade, it's more than that. It's sort of me just being Claire. And I think when I saw that, I really sort of understood that it was a community where people did care, and I didn't really notice that the sort of previous years, and it made me really see that I didn't need a specific friend group to sort of fit in, and I didn't need really a specific place. I just sort of had to find what made me happy at this school, and being up there on that stage screaming for everyone and showing everyone sort of my spirit and my attitude, that really made me understand that. And I think sort of getting this sweater, it really shows how far I've come from hating Deerfield to being absolutely obsessed with it and loving it.
Hi, my name's Perry Cohen. I'm a member of the class of 1994 of Deerfield Academy. I came here as a sophomore in the second class of girls to be admitted to Deerfield, which was a very interesting time to be here. So I got in and I came here, and my first experience at Deerfield was coming in for preseason for the girls soccer team. And it was a great experience, and to this day, some of my dear friends are still some of the teammates that I met on that first day at Deerfield. I mean, we went through these formative years together and were each other's sisters and parents and best friends. And so we kind of raised each other at Deerfield, and that created a bond that I don't think I could have found anywhere else. And so that gave me this foundation of some degree of security, and I think it enabled me to start thinking about my identity, both in my sexual identity and my gender identity. I came out in college, and my friends at Deerfield were great. They said, "We were just waiting for you to tell us, like, we knew this." And I said, "You didn't care? And why didn't you tell me?" And they're like, "Well, it wasn't our place to tell you." And no, we didn't care. You're still P, you're still our friend. And so that was really, I would say those were the group of friends who most embraced and supported me, probably because they were the group of friends who knew me best. So it was like no big deal to come out to them, though it had been an intense kind of anxious period for me to think about coming out. Once it actually happened, I couldn't have asked for a better reception. And then years and years passed, and I got married and had kids, and was happily living with my partner as a same-sex lesbian couple. And then a few years ago, I came out as trans and transitioned to male. And this all happened right at the time of my 20th reunion. So I was actually back on campus and newly transitioning. And my friends were back. And again, they were like phenomenal. The support was amazing. The kind of belief in me and this feeling that these truly were friends for life, even though we'd last lived in the same place 20 plus years ago. But they were the friends who were the first to write back when I came out as trans, were the first to invite me out to visit, were the first to support my organization, the first to ask me how my family was, the first to truly care about me when I told them about my transition. Though I didn't realize it at the time, Deerfield helped me know myself, and it helped me have the confidence to be who I am. And so that's, I think, kind of part of my Deerfield story is that through the challenges of being so different here and feeling so on the outs, I made these connections with people who love me and like me and respect me for who I am. And because of that, I was able to transition, I was able to come out, I was able to have a family, and I've been able to build this business and even now come back to Deerfield and talk about it.
This is Deerfield Academy. It's a resource-saturated environment where you can discover your passions. It's a caring community where you can make lifelong friends, where you can begin to find out who you are and who you would like to be. This isn't always easy. Sometimes it's a struggle. But here, the community comes together to support you and help you grow in unpredictable and profound ways.